This is the last question, depending. I hope this isn't going to just ruin it. You're going to get the award and cut all this real short here. What was the name of the internationally known photographer who used to get jelly beans out of his grandfather's pocket? That's right, little Ronnie Warwick. Okay, Patsy, come on up. You get a prize.
Where's my prize?
Larry's got it right here.
A winning album, just what I've always wanted. Yeah.
Okay. She might want to read the inscription on here.
It says, Ron Warwick, this is your life.
Okay. You ready? You got the projector on? Hang in here. All righty. This will be a little brief. Throw all Kleenex toward the head table, please. Yes, please do. Particularly women, huh? You ready? Well, Ron Warwick, of course, is the subject of this program. He was born July 8th, 1941. That's right, you all forgot to send a birthday card, I know. If you want to do your quick math, that puts him at 44 years old. He was born at Fort Sanders Hospital in Knoxville, Tennessee. You see who he's shaking his fist at. This is a picture, yes, of Ron's mother and dad. It is true, they did find him in a cabbage patch. But this is his mother and dad, Nell and Daryl. Nell and Daryl met and married during the war, and they had their son Ron. And here's little Ronnie at a tender age. One of the early oil paintings. Here's Ron spending a leisurely afternoon in the yard in his little cradle. Here he is giving his little Lord Fauntleroy imitation. Little did he know that he would someday become a friend of a great sailor, so he wanted to prepare himself for that by dressing in a sailor suit. Next, we have him out frolicking in the snow. Not a lot of people know that Ron, too, is a little camera shy. But he's always been popular with the girls. This is Ron and his cousin Molly. But he pretty soon got the hang of all this photography business and started posing at a very tender age. We have all these photographs in this album, by the way, I might point out to you, that we'll be giving Ron at the end of this program. Here he is off to his very first photographic assignment. Prepared very well for the job. Now this is Ron. I know some of you in the back are not going to be able to see this. I know you're desperately seeking out which one is little Ronnie Warwick. As you look at the group, the very front row, the second one from the right, who's been wading through high water, is little Ronnie Warwick. This is Ron with his grandparents. When he was first born, his dad was in the service, and his mother and he lived with his parents, with his grandparents, his maternal grandparents. And this is Potty and Phoebe. And he and Potty were great friends, great buddies. And it was very, very close. And as we said, he did, actually, Potty always kept jelly beans in his pocket for Ron. But Potty was a part Indian man, very, very big, impressive sort of fella. And whenever they'd go to town shopping, instead of holding little Ronnie's hand, he would guide him by the head, turn right, turn left. Therefore, it stunted a little bit of the growth on the top, see there? So that, still to this day, he's got a little problem there. All righty. His grandfather was a carpenter, and really little Ronnie had aspirations of being a carpenter himself. However, that was thwarted at an early age when Potty assumed the role of babysitter and proceeded to let little Ronnie saw the legs off the kitchen table. Obviously, BB was not very happy when she got home about that one. Here's another photo of Ron at an advanced age. Now then, being a mountain man, even at young ages, we had heard true mountain men are really tough cookies. And here we see Ron fighting grizzly bears off in front of a store so the tourists can get through. Here he is with his dog Joe and his bike. Roy Rogers, he ain't. When Ron was just a kid, he was highly influenced by the Mickey Rooney and Judy Garland movies, because Ron was always wanting to, hey gang, let's put on a show for the neighborhood. And he proceeded to have all kinds of entertainment for the neighborhood children, some of which we cannot tell tonight. But there was one really cute story that we wanted to share with you. And we already knew this story, Ron, when you told it the other night. We had to sit there and act very surprised. when he was very small, one day his mom had asked him to fill her cigarette lighter, or he was mucking around with something. Accidentally got some lighter fluid on his finger and went to light the cigarette lighter, and his finger burned. And he thought, hey, neat trick, let's do this big time. So he called all the kids in the neighborhood for the big show. And he convinced his long and trusted friend, Bobby Overton, deputy now, Bobby Overton, to help him with this new magic trick. And he told him it'd be really neat because it was so great, it didn't hurt at all. So he asked Bobby to hold both his hands out, and he poured lighter fluid in his hands and set a match to it, and what a show. Bobby running down the street with his hands on fire. True story, true story. Right, 2 hours later, he did come back looking like 1/10 of a mummy with both hands bound up. Looking for Ron, you got it. Not to say what his mother was doing. Now here's another picture, junior high school picture. I think it probably would be very easy to spot Ron in this one. He's the very, very scholarly looking gentleman in the glasses on the front row, third from that right end. As that a scholar and a gentleman, I want to tell you. He went on to high school here in Knoxville, and he went on to high school in Knoxville, and that's where he met Patsy. They took a photography course together, and that was way back in 19... Anyway, they were quite the students. And we thought no better way to remember his years in his first photography class than sharing with you a letter from his high school photography teacher. And it says, Dear Ron, after 25 years of, sit down and get your Kleenex. After 25 years of teaching commercial photography in the Knoxville City schools, I've learned at least one thing. I only remember the worst students and the best ones. And all of my most successful photo students and of all who made me glow with pride, you lead the list. When I read in the papers about your traveling all over the world practically, holding seminars and your leadership in your professional organizations, I nearly bust my britches, I'm so proud. I tell my wife, Helen, that's my boy. I showed him how to make his first print. If financial gain were the sole reward for teaching, it would be a poor profession. But I feel richly rewarded when I see students such as you base a career on some of the education they receive from me. I understand Patsy Adams is working with you. She's another one of my brag pupils. What an excellent team you two make. I wish a prosperous and happy future for you and your enterprise. Sincerely and affectionately, Bob Gammon. That was his high school photography. As I said, Patsy and Ron met in a photography class. So they began. Ron would take pictures out on assignment, and then they would develop them. And Patsy, I'd like for you to tell us about your early lab, if you would, please.
Oh, was
Up here, up here.
This is taking too much time. Let's continue this later.
There was this beautiful dark room in the basement. Ron would do his thing at the enlarger, and I had to do the soup. You know, he doesn't remember it the same way I remember it for some reason. He thinks he did the soup and the enlarging too. But it was in the basement of his home. We didn't have a dryer, a print dryer. We'd take them upstairs and lay them on the bed. You know, we printed 2 8x10s and 4 wallets for each couple that we photographed, $1.75 a couple. Made a lot of money in those days. Yeah. But the thing about the basement, you turn out the lights, you know, and you have the safe lights on, all these crickets would come out. The woodwork, you know, and I'm frightened to death of bugs, and there'd be crickets chirping and jumping all over the basement, so that was our beginning.
This is a photograph of Ron and Patsy at the senior prom. What you can't appreciate about this photograph is that Ron, being the clever photographer that he was, wasn't going to pass up a job, so he would shoot the dance, and then when it came time for his photograph, he's not going to trust some young photographer to take his picture, so he would set it on a timer and then make a mad dash to jump in the picture with Patsy. This is on one of their trips to Florida. Now we're in the miniskirt age. Another one of their dance photographs. This is an abstract called Stripe on Stripe on Stripe. And this is, here again, you can see evidence where his grandfather did actually twist and turn his head as they walked in. Left imprints even at that age. Ron was very, very much in love with baby blue convertibles. Had one just about every year for a long while. At one point in 1964, right, Ron and Patsy were out, and they unfortunately had a very serious car accident. And Patsy went through the windshield, and Ron bit the steering wheel or something. But anyway, they both were pretty well injured for quite a while, and Ron was very attentive to her. But fortunately, as we all know now, that they did survive that quite well. So it was a lucky thing. But you know, thinking back on the dating experiences, one that I did not share with you, Ron was a real subtle kind of guy. Patsy told me about her first date with Ron, which was actually a double date. It seems the Sunday school class that Ron belonged to had a project to paint the Sunday school room. And he asked Patsy if she would mind going along with him. She said, no, fine. And he proceeded to go pick up another girl. So it was actually a double date with Ron and those 2 girls. When it came time for duty to call, little did we know we were sleeping in peace because Ron Warwick was in the Air National Guard. Ron advanced to the lowest rank you could possibly rank. It was at McGee Tyson Air Base when he was stationed. It was Air National Guard. They had to buy a special hat for him to fit the grooves where his grandfather made the impression. Now then, there's a few of us in here that remember Ron through his hippie days. Such a suave dresser, I mean, red hair was. He cleaned up his act for a while and tried to pose as a great thinker, but then went right back into the hippie generation. Ron's a real exciting kind of guy. He knows all the hot spots in Knoxville. Here he is perusing some prints that he had done for some publications. This is Ron's mom and dad. Tried to sneak away, and they couldn't leave the camera's eye. Now we are at probably one of the most influential parts of Ron's career. Several years ago, he met Mr. Bill Stockwell, whom we all had the opportunity of knowing. I mean, most of us did. And Mr. Stockwell promoted Ron, and they shared many, many happy times together. And so we contacted Mrs. Stockwell to share with us on this evening. And this is her letter. Dear Ron, I do not know exactly at what stage of your life you came into mine. I do know at what stage you entered the life of the casual king and what a new dimension you added to his life. I only wish I could write with the same flamboyant flair with which Bill Stockwell wrote to do you the justice you deserve and to tell you of our love for you. You were, Ron, as everyone knew, one of Bill's favorite people in the world and the student of which he was most proud. He considered you one of the most talented and creative photographers in the business, and he felt it an honor and a privilege to have had you as his student. And I often heard Bill say, I only lit the torch and Ron has carried much higher than I could have ever done. Ron, to be a fine photographer is a great accomplishment, but one that can be achieved through study and tenacity. But to be the kind, loyal, and devoted and steadfast friend you were to the casual king can only be achieved through God's love. There are no words, Ron, to accurately describe how Bill's feelings were for you. The closest I can come is to say that his pride and his love for you were that of a father would have for his son. And I'm sure he is with you now, Ron, just as you were with him when I presented This Is Your Life, Casual King. I am sure he is smiling down, and his wish would be that your moccasins make many more tracks in happy snows, and the rainbow always touch your shoulder. I love you, Ron, and I wish, too, that I could have been with you tonight. So fondly, Rachel Stockwell, Casual Queen. Just one of the last photographs with Ron and Bill Stockwell, Chris Kelly, and wild man Wayne Byrne. Now, Wayne, swallow that apple and come on up here and give us your 2 cents worth. Wayne Byrne, as you know, is with Art Leather and has promoted Ron on many travels.
I knew there was some trick when he said he was coming to Pancake. Move along. These people are getting tired of hearing about me. Move along to something else. Make it brief, Wayne.
Yes. We finally, after all these years, got you where we want. I've had the privilege to know many fine people in my life. I don't know for sure just how important people become in other people's lives. But I do know some things that become important in my life. And I know what became important in his life. And to know the leaders of our industry and to stand around and I carry something in my wallet. It's very important to me. This is a dollar bill. It was torn in half a long time ago by somebody that's very important to me. He's a very important person to your industry. Some years ago, I made a statement. I said, gosh, what happened to all those great people at photography? They seem to be disappearing. Thank God someone great in photography has come back again. My very best friend, person I'm very proud to know, Ron Warwick.
Thank you, Wayne. I might also mention that Wayne is the one who personally donated the album for the photographs, and we will have this where everybody can look at it later, because there are a few pictures in here that are not in slide form, and you can look at that later. But on we go. On we go. Here Ron is being consoled by Dale Roberts for the terrible identity crisis he had. Actually, this is the evening he received his craftsman degree, but as you can read the fine print, it does say Leroy Muncie on the certificate. Not to be outdone, Kentucky presented him with a Kentucky Colonel's certificate a few years ago, and complete with the mint julep cup. This is a more recent picture. You can see the heart. This is on one of his many travels that he made with his You Gotta Have Heart program. Hey, a couple of wild and crazy guys. His Richard Nixon impression. Waiting for a train. Hard at work in the outdoors. And time out while we change the slide. That's right, we just got a few more. Okay. This is his Christmas card, as someone noted. Yes, indeed. How can we tell with all the red and the green in the background? This is his staff. I believe this was the most recent Christmas card, was it not, or perhaps the year before. But this is Ron and his staff made at his studio. Here we have a picture of Ron, slave driver that he is, with Patsy and Mark Roberts of our leather. And we happen to have a telegram here from Mark Roberts, which says briefly, Dear Ron, wishing you a very warm and hearty congratulations as you receive this well-deserved honor from the Tennessee Association. A hug, a kiss, and a beer will be on me 2 weeks from today in Chicago. Sincerely, Mark Roberts, Art Leather. This is Ron in Australia, if you recognize that amphitheater, I think it is, in the background. Opera House. I haven't been there, so I don't know. Anyway, this was on one of his many travels. Is this the trip you made for WPI?
No, it's Australia.
Yes, this is the trip they made for WPI. WPI is Wedding Photographers International, as many of you may know. And representing Wedding Photographers International, we have a letter from Steve Sheenan, who is president of Wedding Photographers International. He wrote it to us to be read, to Larry and I to be read here. It says, Dear Larry and Priscilla, I'm sure your program for This Is Your Life will absolutely knock the socks off Ron. Yes. That's why I wore high-top boots, I guess. He wrote about a couple of memorable times that he had with Ron. He said, I'll never forget the terrific cooperation and hard work involved in the seminars in the land down under, not to mention the valuable friends and attachments made along with interesting experiences in Australia and New Zealand. In case it slipped your mind so quickly, Ron, it was in January 1984. Now this, we did not have time. We just received it after we got here. He sent a picture along that I will keep in the book toward the back that you'll realize what it is here in a minute. It's a photograph of Ron and Monty Zucker. And he had this comment about the photograph. Ron is forever the incurable romantic in the wedding photography industry and is the 1984 recipient of the Bill Stockwell Memorial Award from Wedding Photographers International. As we turned the corner into 1985 and named another recipient for the award, now this was made this past May in Boston. As we turned the corner into 1985 and named another recipient for the award, we captured a memorable moment of Ron on film. Photo enclosed. He has either invented an innovative moment in posing or has come up with a new dance step, or if it's with Monty, we'll let you decide. Here we have Rob and one of his very scholarly friends, Chris Kelly, setting an excellent example for our new members, right? And here we have have the real president of the Tennessee Professional Photographers Association sitting with Ron. Now, seriously, Patsy has been such a tremendous part of Ron's life, and for the past many years have been very close friends and comrades, and no program would be complete without including her in that. We have one other little bit of, I'm so sorry, I almost left one of these out. Also, some very good friends of Ron Warwick are the folks of CPQ, Copier Color Lab. Now, I almost let you slip by, fellas. But we have a letter from CPQ. Dear Ron, CPQ as a supplier has been very closely involved with Ron for most of his professional life. We have watched his endeavors in business and in his personal life, and not only feel but know him to be one of the most talented, honest, and true believers in promoting his profession not only to other photographers, but to anyone with a desire to better themselves, and he has done this with all of his abilities around the world. CPQ sponsors Ron Warwick in our advertising and also in his photographic seminars. We sponsor Ron Warwick because of his ability, professionalism, genuine humility, and because he is a true man among men. Sincerely, CPQ Color Chrome Corporation. Now, Larry will come up with that one other little bit, and then we will be on with the awards.
Keep it brief.
As Priscilla said, Wayne Byrne personally donated this album, and we didn't get much notice on it, but he got it to us. And as salon chairman, I had to do a lot of extra work, burn a lot of midnight oil, so what I'm going to do when I get back to my studio, I'm going to send Ron Warwick a bill for all those copies I made and those slides, because he put triple work on me. But I enjoyed it. Couldn't happen to a nicer fellow, son, I tell you. It wouldn't, I can't think of any other appropriate moment at all to close this segment of Ron's life out than to ask two of his friends to come forward. And that's the famed Van Moore and the famed and our own very native Tennessean, Bill Carrier. Would you all step forward, please?
I have to say again, how do you call it? How do you give accolades to a guy that you love, see, try to move into an element of greatness, in spite of the fact that he's a great guy, and this is very important. Do them all in here. This is another first in the history of photography. Van and I happened to belong to an organization, and for the first time, to my knowledge, in fact, it's in the bylaws, and go by the bylaws, but for the first time...
He's always going by the damn bylaws.
I'm a straight man. But honestly, I'm looking for something.
You left it on the plane, Bill.
There is something that, among the other things, that finally come out of the closet, the list of members of the Camel Craftsmen of America. And there's only 40 of them. Somebody got died, another guy gets in, so they're always wishing everybody's dead. Get your friend in or something. Van was a long time member, and I happened to have gotten in on a bylaw change. But first time in history, this list
He shot the fellow. That was before him.
not really, man, but almost left the club because I thought it was such a mutual admiration society. You know, that's what it used to be. But to make a long thing short, Van and I were sitting down here when we came to the convention, and we were talking, and we said, I was talking to Pat, and I said, this association has been totally turned around. It's gone back to the division of council, members and everything, and it's due to the efforts of one man, plus all the people that you delegate with authority. Now, he won't tell you this, he said he did all the work. You know, in the board meeting today, he said, I didn't understand what the presidency was. He said, God, it's so big, sir. But he had a team and did it for him, and the only reason he could was he delegates with authority. That's the reason he's successful in business. That's the reason he's a good photographer. And
He's a great.
great. But I'll tell you one thing, the Marcus and Chap are going to be showing what they mentioned a while ago. They're going to be all over this mountain out here in your part of the country. You know, the folks they just gave Marcus and Chap over the snow. Ryan, to you, it gives a great pleasure. And you're again first. This is the first book that issued in Tennessee. You got the first one from your dear friend Payne.
I certainly do. And a white check.
No, I just want an autograph. Mine. Bill has autograph his. And then you can get on with your damn show.
No way. This is the way this guy's such a success. Time, little silent moment, and all of a sudden he comes out. Like he did the Quid show the other night. The guy asked about the hands, and the man said the hand's horrible. The guy asked a question about it. He said, you want me to go through it finger by finger? Remember that? That's great. I'm not going to sign mine now because I got a lot to say to this guy. You know, I want to put it in writing. And I don't do this very often. Okay. Tennessee is Friday, isn't it?
Bill Stockel would say, they didn't come to pay to see, hear all this stuff. On with the show.